Hi Virgo, welcome to your December 2019 Astrology 33 bonus love reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, I actually won't be offering those until around the second week of December. So just keep an eye out on the channel. I will make an announcement when I figure out exactly what date it'll be, but I'm definitely thinking sometime around the second week of December. Alright, as for what we have in front of us, this is what I call a bridging the gap spread, and the way it works is the cards on the left side represent your energy toward the connection with your main love interest. Cards on the right side represent their energy toward the connection. And these are the past energies, present energies, future energies. Once we get through those, we'll actually pull some oracle cards to gain some additional insight. That's where the bridging the gap dynamic comes into play. And as for the decks being used, on the left side we have the Lover's Path Tarot, on the right side we have the Tarot of Sexual Magic. Alright, so with that out of the way, starting with the past energy on your side, we have transformation. So this is actually the equivalent of the death card in traditional tarot. So what this can be pointing to here, well, it could be a few things. For one, you guys have had a lot going on in the sign of Scorpio, which this is a card that represents. So we've had Mercury retrograde. At the time of recording this, Mars isn't there yet, I don't think. Well, yeah, I think it's a couple days from now it'll be moving into Scorpio as well. And, the retrograde and then the shadow period will officially be done, I think, at the end of the first week of December. So yeah, there's been a lot of energy going through Scorpio, obviously. Sun included, obviously. So maybe this is just saying that during that period you might have reconsidered the connection and possibly ended it. Another thing this could point to as well, given that this is 8th house energy, could also be saying that maybe around the time of the Aries full moon might have been where your perspective might have shifted around this connection. And then if we just take the astrology out of the equation altogether, this card here, what I usually think about when I see this is, since we have Pluto and Persephone on the card, could just be pointing to, it could definitely be like a cyclical connection where you guys on again, off again, on again, off again, and maybe there's a reason for that, right? Like maybe you guys are in one part of the world for spring and summer, let's say, and then maybe for fall and winter, you're somewhere else, or they are. That could be what's going on there. But yeah, it definitely seems like it's a cyclical pattern for some of you that you might have gone through with this connection. And I'm guessing from the looks of it anyway, in the past, you might have broken it off. So that's what I'm seeing there. Past energy on their side, we have the Two of Pentacles. So this is actually a Capricorn energy, which for you guys is your 5th house. So can this be saying that there could have been, real, obviously, a romantic, playful connection? But what I pick up on with this card in particular from this deck is the person, if we look at the way he's approaching her, he looks a little hesitant, right? Like he doesn't seem too sure of himself, almost like a page type energy. And then if we think about Two of Pentacles in the traditional tarot, it's a person juggling those 2 pentacles. So can just be saying that maybe they had you and another option on the 2 options to choose from, basically. Sorry, I'm like tripping over my words with the retrograde here, but that could be what was at play. Maybe they had multiple options, and maybe that might have been why you decided to cut it off if you did end the connection, because you're like, all right, well, I feel like I'm just an option to this person, and maybe you wanted something more stable than that. But for some of you, could just be saying that they might have been a little just shy, basically. That could have been a more innocent way the energy could be playing out as well. So that's what I'm picking up on there. Present energy on your side, we have Innocence, which is the equivalent of the Fool card. So this could just be saying that now maybe you actually do want to start things up with this person again. So, I mean, let's look at a generic way this could have played out, right? Maybe during the Mercury retrograde, especially given that it was happening in your 3rd house of communication. Maybe you might have broken it off with them, right? Maybe now we get out that retrograde energy, the dust settles, and maybe now you decide, oh, well, maybe I want to get back with this person, right? Especially, again, like I said, if that tends to be the pattern of your connection anyway, where it's on again, off again, on again, off again. So, and keep an eye out for that too. If it is, see if you notice a pattern of maybe every time the retrogrades pop up, you guys run into issues, because maybe that's a bigger lesson to learn from that situation. But yeah, that can be what's going on here. For some of you, this can just be saying that you want to get a start with someone completely different, but I'm not necessarily picking up on that as heavily. I think this is more you guys, maybe wanting to get back into the connection with this person. And then, if that's the case too, with transformation, it could even just be saying that maybe you were going through something on a personal level that might have been totally outside the connection that maybe you were processing in the past, and now you feel like you're through that energy, right? Now maybe you're ready to come back out and pursue the connection with them. Present energy on their side is the Judgment card. So for me, this is actually the other side of that Scorpio energy. We have the death energy here. To me, I view the Judgment as the rebirth energy. So again, this could just be another indicator that yes, this could have just been something that ended during the Mercury retrograde season for you guys, and now you guys get out of it. All of a sudden, you're reuniting, basically. That could be the way it's playing out there. Artwork on this one's a little bit interesting because I'm wondering if maybe the two of you might have a child together, or possibly if even a pregnancy was discovered after the separation between the two of you. So maybe that's where you guys are coming back together. Just with this particular deck's artwork, anyway. That's what I think of. I mean, there is the child and the two people in the regular tarot too, but here with the way that it looks like he has the ropes tied around him, it makes me think that maybe you do find out, oh, by the way, either, like I said, you already have a child with this person, or maybe you find out that they are pregnant now. So, but more than that, this could just be saying again, you might come back to them if you were the one who ended it. Yes, they might be open to it with the Judgment energy showing up here, but again, let's keep in mind the Judgment part too, right? So they might be a little reluctant to let you back in. So they might still be a bit guarded and wanting to see, all right, well, can I trust this person? Especially if you're coming in, if you had the Death energy in the past and you come in with a Fool energy, very different energies. So they just might be like, oh, I don't know, I have to feel this out a bit, Future energy on your side, we have the Four of Arrows. So this is a Libra energy. And what I see here, pretty much in any tarot deck, the Four of Swords usually represents a time of healing, recovery. If you think about the fact that it comes after the Three of Swords, right, it makes sense. So, but here we notice there's actually two people together going through that process. So I would say, maybe you, again, did approach this person that maybe ended things with them in the past and you wanted to have a second go with it. With this showing up in the future position, it does show that there is some promise there that you guys can heal the connection. So like I said, it doesn't have to be this grand thing. It could just be as simple as the two of you might have gotten into some kind of an argument during the retrograde, right? How common is that? Now, as you get out of that, and maybe especially with the holidays too, maybe there's some guilt and you're like, oh, I want to have this person back around, right? So then maybe you guys end up repairing things. So it doesn't have to be some huge issue, but either way, that's the general energy I'm picking up on. And then the future energy on their side, they got a few cards. We have Ten of Swords, Four of Cups, and Two of Swords. So interesting combination of cards here. I will say this is a Libra card here as well, so you guys both have at least some Libra energy in the future position, which you could say is good for balance and relationships. But Ten of Swords, for me, well, what this can be saying to me is that this is just saying that maybe, it's taken them longer to get over whatever descending was. And like I said, maybe that's why they still seem to be a bit more guarded, whereas you're coming in with that Fool energy. They're like, oh, okay, this is coming back around, but can I trust it, So this can just be saying with the tens, we think about the tens as endings, right? So maybe this is saying that they're coming out of that. But with the Four of Cups, it might take a little work with them. And then this is a Cancer energy, and for you guys, Cancer represents your 11th house too. So this might even just be saying that the advice might be to, or maybe even they might suggest it to you that, okay, well, we can connect again, but, maybe they just want to start out as friends, right? To, get things going that way. And then with the Two of Swords, again, this could be pointing to that same thing, which is to say they might be open to communicating and maybe building on a friendship, but to try to bring it back to a romantic level, they might be a little bit more hesitant to do so. Because we see him extending the rose to her there, and she looks like she's not really feeling it. So that could be all saying that, because they haven't really fully gotten over it yet, and even though they might in the future, could just be saying in the meantime, if you try to make advances to them in a more romantic way, they might not really be into it. And then, that's what this is pointing to for me as well, where it's like maybe they are considering it, but they're not going to jump the gun and jump right back in. So that could be what the Two of Swords is pointing to as well, where they're weighing the two options. Like, yeah, I can get back with the person, but is that the best idea? So you just might have to have some patience regarding the situation. All right, as for the cards on the bottom of the deck, on your side we have Balance, which is the equivalent of the Temperance card in traditional tarot, which is a Sagittarius card. So it can just be as simple as pointing out that we're going to have a lot of energy in Sagittarius, right, in December. And the bottom of the deck on their side is the Queen of Wands. And this is actually an Aries energy. So, maybe some of you are dealing with an Aries, but this can just be yet another thing pointing to what I was saying, which is maybe during the full moon in Aries, since that is 8th house for you guys, maybe that's what this is saying. The ending might have taken place around then for some of you. And then maybe it was that, you had that ending, and then during Scorpio season, right, you started to reflect on that, like, was that the right move for me to cut off this connection with this person, right? So maybe this was about the processing, and now you're like, all right, you know what, let me make another approach to this person. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing there. And the balance is definitely a pretty positive energy to have too, but what stands out to me is I was just noticing we have, looks like the fire and the water energy there, and then similar vibes here. So could just be saying, you might have a lot of passion and emotion behind your approach now. So that could be what's at play there. Well, let's see if we get any additional insight from the Oracle cards. So first, I'll see if we can get some messages from the Mystic Moon Oracle deck. And for those of you who haven't seen this type of reading from me yet, I do pre-shuffle this deck before I start recording. And then what I'm looking for is actually some jumpers. So first I'll be looking for unspoken messages from you to them, and then from them to you after that. And if we don't get anything, I just keep it moving, since it is just a general reading instead of just pulling a random one. But we'll see what we get, if anything. So, like I said, first we'll be looking for any unspoken messages from you to them. Alright, nothing coming up yet, but I'll shuffle a little longer before we move on. Alright, nothing there, so next I'll see if there's any unspoken messages from them to you. Oh, got one. Alright, let's see. It says, I wish I could take back the things I said. So that's interesting. If anything, like I said, it doesn't seem like maybe this goes back to the past energy, maybe the wishy-washy vibe I was saying that I was picking up on with this. So maybe that turned you off and that was why you'd ended the connection. Or this can be pointing to, and again, especially if this did take place during a retrograde, right? Communication mishaps left and right. But if it's not that, with this Ten of Swords here, maybe they might actually say something a little sharp to you when you do come back around. Maybe that's what's going on. But yeah, I don't know. Aside from that, I'm not really seeing anything that really jumps out at me as to why they would be saying that, but hopefully that does resonate for you guys in some way, shape, or form. And lastly, we'll pull one from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. And same deal here, I did pre-shuffle this deck as well. So we'll just try to pull one for some additional messages and then we'll wrap up. Okay, got one. No place like home. There's the artwork, and the number is 50. So, yeah, I mean, before I even read the message, that makes me think of what I was saying. Like, maybe this really is a thing where you guys might pull apart, but then end up back together over and over again, you know? So, I don't know. Let's see. It says authenticity, coming home to yourself, feeling at home, arriving at a place where you just fit, being comfortable in your own skin. The Oracle's message. Home feels safe and secure. It's a comfortable place to rest and create, a place that is known and you can call yours. This card signals that your ability to trust yourself and feel at home in your own skin is beginning to solidify as you claim your dignity and integrity, aspects of yourself no one can take away from you. You know who you are. You hold your head high, yet neither with pride nor humility. Instead, you stand as the observer, seeing through the eyes of your soul. This puts you in a position of power and strength. Authenticity is your home. You are safe here, in the house of your spirit and spirit. So, what that makes me think of there was what I was saying, that maybe for some of you, what this is pointing to, that maybe you're just going through some kind of a deep transformation on some level in the past. And like I said, it might not have even been directly related to that connection, and it might have been maybe around self-esteem and self-worth, and now maybe with that innocence card coming up, which is the equivalent of the Fool card, maybe you've come out of that cycle now, and now you do feel confident and sure of yourself, and maybe that's why you're making that approach again. All right, the relationship message says lovers, friends, and companion animals are at home in your life right now. You are in sync and full of love, and you can be secure in the knowledge that it is reciprocated. Relationships elicit a sense of emotional safety, comfort, and the best aspects of familiarity now. Be home in this relationship. Together you add to the love of the world. So, interesting message there, and even though it wasn't like a key point of it, I do think it was interesting that it did mention friends, because like I was saying, I feel like for some of you, what these cards were saying here could just be saying that, at least for the time being, they might want to keep it at more of a friend level with you guys, just for the time being, until maybe they feel a little bit more sure of the situation. And also the companion animal thing was interesting to me too, because it makes me think about the Fool card, and the traditional tarot does have like a pet dog basically in the artwork. So maybe that's what was going on too. Maybe you guys had a pet together, and maybe that's what brings you guys back together, right? I don't know. Pretty random, but hopefully that resonated for you guys. We'll wrap up there. Happy holidays, and I'll see you all next year. All right, bye.